Okay, biotech company AdAlta has had some exciting news for its leading drug candidate. Let's find out what. Tim Oldham joins me now for more on this. Tim, great to have your company on Ticker.
Thanks for having me, Holly.
Let's start by talking about what the treatment is.
So AdAlta is a drug discovery company based in Melbourne, and our technology, which we call iBodies, is really designed to produce a better antibody that can do things that traditional antibodies can't. And we've got two products in the pipeline, a collaboration with GE Healthcare and our lead program, which is AD-214. And this is designed to address a disease called fibrosis, which is scarring of internal organs. And our lead indication is idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. And this is a degenerative lung disease that ultimately kills people who have it over a period of about 4 years. So it's untreatable today. We can manage the symptoms, but we can't stop it progressing. So there's a massive unmet need, and unfortunately, it's probably only going to get worse as a result of COVID.
Yeah. So where is your drug at the moment in regards to phases?
So we entered clinical trials for AD-214 last year, in the middle of last year, and we've just completed our phase 1 clinical trial program. We released the results last week, and we've demonstrated a really positive safety profile for our drug. And we've also demonstrated that it actually binds and engages with the receptor that we need it to engage when it's given intravenously.
Yeah, so what's the difference between this drug now? I know that when I was researching about this, you guys are actually going to make it able to be inhaled. Is that right?
That's correct. So the second piece of news we released last week was the results of some preclinical work we've been doing to develop an imaging version of our lead drug. So this means that we can then track where it goes in the body. And this is really important because we can measure blood concentrations really well, but we can't measure what's happening in the lungs of people easily. And so an imaging agent is going to be really, really powerful. Our initial preclinical studies showed that a large proportion of the drug, when we administered it via an intravenous route, was actually ending up clearing through the liver, which meant it wasn't available where we needed it in the lungs. So I've always believed that there had to be a more convenient route of administration than intravenous administration anyway. Patients don't really want to be coming to a clinic every 2, 3, 4 weeks to get their injection. And so inhalation has always been on our radar screen, and these findings gave us the impetus to really bring that forward and accelerate that into our next clinical trials.
Yeah, cool. What's the timeline for something like this look like? Like, how long will it take before we see this available commercially?
So unfortunately, drug development takes a really long time. Typical drug development timelines from the start of clinical trials to approval are 7 to 8 years. But importantly, there are lots of really important milestones along the way, and AdAlta is not waiting until that length of time to generate revenue from this product. We'll eventually out-license it to large pharmaceutical companies, and they will take over the really expensive later stages of development. So our next step is to develop this in inhaled formulation. Our original plans would have been to take an intravenous formulation into the phase 2 trials. We now know, given the supply chain for the next batch of our clinical drug, that that's about 2 years away, and that gives us enough time to develop these inhaled formulation without slowing down our overall clinical program. And importantly, we're going to get some really rich data about the inhaled route of administration from our animal studies along the way as well. So we'll be able to demonstrate the distribution of the drug in animals way more effectively than we would have been able to humans in a human study we were originally planning. And we'll be able to do that as early as the beginning of next year. So some really important early stage milestones to demonstrate our progress coming soon.
Yeah, okay. And what else is your company working on? Anything exciting that you can share with us here?
So our second program is in collaboration with GE Healthcare. These are a multinational biopharmaceutical company. They're one of the largest imaging companies in the world. So they're interested in the immuno-oncology field, and the drugs called checkpoint inhibitors or immuno-oncology drugs that reactivate a patient's immune system to treat cancer have revolutionized our treatment of that disease field. But unfortunately, it only works for 20 to 40% of patients, and being able to identify which ones are responding to these therapies early is going to be enormously valuable to getting them on the right treatment as soon as possible. And GE came to us and said, look, we think we can if we can image what we call a biomarker of immuno-oncology drug effectiveness, then we'll be able to help that process. Can you find an iBody that binds to this target and allow us to then deliver our traces into this target to really break open the identification of the right drug for cancer patients. So this is really exciting to us. We've just moved that into preclinical development with GE. The program's fully funded by GE, so we're earning revenue from this right now. And importantly, it could come to market well before AD-214 could. So it's much shorter development cycle for these diagnostics. And we're expecting preclinical development to be complete, potentially as early as next year, and in the clinic, not by the end of next calendar year.
Oh, wonderful. It's remarkable stuff. Tim, thank you so much for coming on to Ticker to share this with us. It's been a pleasure.
Holly, thanks for having me.